Hey, and welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. Welcome to my humble garage. And as you've already seen, we're talking about ALFA Western Wear matte black genuine python boots. Now, they've been very famous for a while for their matte black python print boots. But now we're talking about matte black genuine python boots. So what's the difference? We're talking about cutting corners so that we can make them only $200 versus the $150 that you get with the prints. So let's talk about it. Now, before we get into it, concerning the python boots that I reviewed last time, concerning the packaging, they were pretty basic, kind of like the newer stuff that they've been putting out, the all black box, the white writing, everything like that. You know, it wasn't bad by any means. It's up to their new standard. But the reason why I want to bring that up is because look at this. This is something else, right? And it's much bigger than a usual box. And there's a reason for that. So as we're getting into it, let's check it out. Now, would you look at that? I'm gonna go ahead and flip it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. ALFA Western Wear, welcome to the family. Apparently the boots are in here and you get a boot jack. Now that is a step up in the right direction to me. So as you're seeing, this is just a step above what they're usually putting out. This is a much nicer box, much nicer sack. Like they weren't putting their boots in any type of sack, so that's really nice. And then this. This is a nice boot jack. Some people will call this a boot puller. This is known as a boot jack. Usually these are two pieces of leather right here, and then anywhere else you want to put some accents. So this is a piece of leather right here. Now let me tell you something. When you look up boot jack or boot puller on Amazon, this is what comes up. This Amazon boot jack, and this was $17. As you can see here, like this I think is a piece of leather. Yeah, this is a piece of leather from Ariat. This is felt. It is not leather at all. This is felt, most definitely. So this is leather, and then you can see how small it is. Now I want to compare the two. There is a big difference here, right? Very big difference. One has leather, one does not. One is just a much more robust build. I'm bringing this up simply because this is a quality boot jack. On the very low end, right? Let's just say because of the name brand, it's not an Ariat or it's not a Dan Post or one of those huge name brands, right? We'll lower the value down to $60. That's a $60 value just being thrown in the box with the upgraded packaging, with the boot sack, everything like that, and it's all still $200. Enough of that being said, let's pull these babies out. Now this is the colorway that I have always wanted and what brought me to ALFA Western Wear in the first place. I saw everywhere the advertisements for the matte black python print boots with the brown or natural leather colorway combination, and that's what brought me to the website. That's actually what I ordered, and I remember if you watched my review, I talked about how I didn't get those, so I ended up settling for the black on black on black, which I did like those. These are better. These are better in another way. They're genuine python skins. Now, I am a proponent of the prints simply because this is very delicate. And I really mean that. When you touch it, it's just like this in Piaruku, right? The edges of the Piaruku, they fray. I mean, you could literally just grab it and start tearing it away. That's how delicate it is. And this feels that way. And this is different from the original python boots that I got from ALFA Western Wear with the natural colorway. They're just very, very, very fragile. Now, this, because it's the natural colorway, it has a different texture to it simply because there's kind of a lacquer to it. Maybe that's the wrong word to use, but you can see there's a sheen, so it's not matte. There is a slight sheen to it, and I've seen other boots. Since getting these, I've purchased two separate pairs of python boots, not for myself, so that's why there isn't a review, but I did do a comparison because I was blown away, and I will give you this clip right now. Just want to make this interjection real quick because as you can see here, it got the ALFA Western Wear Natural Python. But to enter into the fight is this Dan Post Natural Python boot, rounded toe. Very traditional style. This is the Dan Post Manning. If you type that into Google, this is what you're going to find. These are in fact not my boots. I have them as a gift for someone else. And so I'll break that down to you real quick. This is a gift for one of my pastors at my church. As I was, I love Dan Post. Dan Post is one of my favorite companies. So what I'm saying is I really like Dan Post as a brand. They have a great legacy in the industry. So as I'm just kind of giving it the once over, I'm like, these are well-made boots. But the one constant thing that keeps going through my mind is my ALFA Western Wear boots that I have that I already did a review on the channel are made with better materials. And what I'm saying is that the inside of the vamp is softer, is more supple, is more higher quality. The insole on this one is actually very, very nice as far as like it's very, very, let me do what I always do on this channel when it comes to insoles. You heard that. That is a thick, heavy insole, and I love, love, love that. But what I love about the traditional boot is that in these ALFA Western Wear, they have a leather insole. It's a leather padded insole, a foam leather insole, but it's stitched in there. The interior leather that's on the inside, the leather on the innards, right, is much more soft and supple. And so what I'm not saying is that the quality between these two are so far apart. But what I'm saying is that the quality on these pair, the ALFA Western Wear, seems to be a little higher than these Dan Posts. And I'm kind of saying, wow, because these Dan Posts were $300. I think they're $329.95, so $330. And these are $200 from the website. So if this quality was a 10, what I'm not saying is that this quality is a 6 or a 7. I'm saying it's like a 9.5. But the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that these are so close in quality, and I think that this one actually has a better quality than the Dan Post. And the Dan Post is a tried and true, and I know that many people like to say, oh, all of them are now sellouts and they're making their stuff in China. Nope. These are made in Leon, Mexico. So this is not the cheap stuff. This is the good stuff. This is not anything that they're making, and I don't even know if Dan Post, I've not come across any Dan Post made in China. But this is made in Mexico, the capital of where some of the best boots are made right now. I'm not saying this because they're paying me. They're not paying me. They're sending them in for review, and as I'm checking them out, I'm going, they're really good. That being said, what do we have here? We have a full cowhide leather boot, for the exception of the vamp being a genuine python skin hide here. In the innards, as I like to call them, full cowhide leather on the inside. The seams are covered up as they always are. This is a rough out counter. Now I don't know what the rough out material is here on the inside, but it's solid. It's not easily broken. We have a leather insole, and the inside vamp is a nice soft supple leather. So we're talking leather everywhere. Which brings me to that point that I just finished making. The quality on these things are very high for what is being offered. With that being said, these are very, very nice boots. The look and the style and the quality is on par with some of the best boots in the industry. Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm talking about how good these boots are, you've seen me at this point review the Ariat Benchmade boots. The Benchmade boots are on another level, and there are a few other boots in the industry that are, not custom, that you could purchase off of the rack or off of the website in Ariat's case, and they're very, very well-made boots. These aren't as well made as those boots. Those boots are, in my opinion, some of the best boots I have ever purchased. Now that reminds me, I didn't hit on this point. We're talking all leather sole and heel. This is a leather stack heel as well. And as you can see here, and I'll show you on the close-ups and the beauty shots, is that there are brass tacks and lemonwood pegs, just as in the other pythons. So all of that being said, I am a fan, once again, of these boots. Everything that they're doing right now for ALFA Western Wear is by far better than what they've done, and are definitely better than the very, very early ALFA Western Wear boots that most of the reviews are out on nowadays. And it's why I continually review them and want to talk about how good their boots are, simply because when it comes to the quality of the boot, they deserve it. Now, if you want to buy these, what I have found common with ALFA Western Wear boots is that you buy a size down. Now, I personally don't go necessarily a size down. I actually just go a little bit more narrow because I do like extra room here. So all that being said, let's jump to the on-foot portion and check this out. All right, this is the on-foot portion of the ALFA Western Wear genuine matte black python boot with the natural leather sole and heel, or I like to say the brown leather sole and heel. This is the lighter brown versus the darker brown, or the darker stain as I would call it. It's not wood, but has the general term. Regardless, this is, as I was saying in the review, this is one of my favorite colorways of this boot. This is the thing that kind of drew me to ALFA Western Wear, was this boot in particular for the print. And now that the genuine is now available, even more so. So I was really excited to get this in. And as you can tell, looking on feet, this looks great. This is something that can be dressed up or dressed down. You could wear this with a trucker hat and a t-shirt, or you could wear this with a nice button-down shirt with the suede jackets and that cowboy hat and the whole get-up. But this is a really nice looking pair of boots. Well, that is a whole lot of talking for me. But I have to be honest with you, I came and I started this channel simply because I come to YouTube for as long as I can remember. Since YouTube got started, I always came to YouTube looking for purchasing advice. What do they say about it? How is their review of it? And ever since then, YouTube channels have become official as review pages and whatnot. I'm here because as a buyer, you want to know what you're about to purchase, especially if it's going to be something as expensive as $200, and also especially if the company does not take returns. Now, I've been told by the company that they are starting to take returns and offer refunds. I have not put that to the test myself, but this is what they told me. So, just for full disclosure, ALFA Western Wear did not pay me for this review. They're not sponsoring the video. They're not doing anything other than sending out the boots so that I can review them, check them out, and tell you about them. And again, I like them. I'm not going to review something that I don't like. That's just plain and simple. If I don't like it, there's no point in me taking the time out of my day, because this is definitely not my full-time job. There's no point in me reviewing it. So if they send me a pair of boots or a hat or whatever it is, and I don't like it, I could send it right back. And I'm not going to make a video because it takes a long time to make these videos with nice quality and whatever. So if I'm putting it out here, it's because I think it's pretty good. If I'm purchasing it and I don't like it, I'm going to make a review on it either way, simply because, I purchased it, and you might want to know about that experience. But if I'm getting sent something, if I make a review on it, it's because I probably like it and I want to tell you about it. And if it's a really great value, I definitely want you to I want to tell you about it, because I want you to be able to take advantage of it as well. So all that being said, these are a great pair of boots, $200 on the website, and the sale is still going on, and they're still giving out these boot jacks. Fantastic. If not, this is still worth $200 for a pair of authentic Python boots.